Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. See if we have audio. It shows that I've got audio coming through, so hopefully I do. I'll just wait for people. All right, for the replay, if this works out well, I went live like 5 minutes ago and I had no audio. So I don't think okay. Mike says it sounds like we got audio now. All right. Hopefully everybody that was there comes back over here because I had to create a whole new feed. I have no idea what happened. Google, man. Technology. All right. So the people watching at home that are watching the replay, they have no idea what I'm talking about. So it just went live, no audio. Tried all these different microphone settings. I was working on the settings in the doohickey, the hub, the dashboard. All right. Looks like people are showing up now. So I'm like, what do you do in a situation like that? Because I'm using all the tools I got at my disposal. I'm alive, right? And thank you, Daniel. All right, looks like we're good to go. I'm excited to talk to you guys about Black Friday deals, about new arrivals, just kind of what's going on as we roll into here in the US. We got Thanksgiving coming up this week, so it's going to be like a really slow week as far as work goes for a lot of us because we're going to be traveling and we're going to be, noshing on way too much food. And then, I don't know, I was going to say, and then the sales start on Black Friday, but they're kind of all month long now in November. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about is it seems like there's a lot of stuff that's already like, I remember last year waiting, thinking like, well, Friday's the day that a lot of this stuff's really going to hit. And then Friday came and most of the good stuff had already been on sale for most of the month. So I'll tell you what what I've bought or what I'm picking up or planning on picking up. But what about you guys? Like for me, this November has been Griff. Yeah, the Best Buy sale was crazy low prices at the Best Buy sale. $5.99 here. I have notes. I have show notes that I was going to use, but I got sidetracked with the microphone failure. Best Buy had tons of $10 or less 4Ks. They had Howard the Duck for $5.99. I think they had Top Gun 1 for $7.99, and Amazon price matched a lot of that stuff. But like right now, some of it's already sold out now too. So like Dungeons and Dragons is on sale, which that may be my movie of the year. You know, every year I do like my favorites of the year. I don't know that I'm going to do one of those this year for new movies. Like I do my favorite theatrical movies of that year. I don't know if I'm going to do that this year because I've really hated just about everything. But I loved Dungeons and Dragons. For me, Dungeons and Dragons is kind of saved the year for me. So highly I recommend it. Top Gun Maverick's on sale for $9.99. The Super Mario Brothers movie, which I watched once, and I'm like, probably that's enough. Like, I don't see myself going back to that. Pulp Fiction is under $10, or I think it's $10.99. Enter the Dragon, it's great for what it is. It's a shame that we lost all those special features, but people are still showing up. I'm so glad to see that people that were. It sucks, man, because that's like I put the live stream link up a few days early because you want to let people know, hey, this is coming. They know where to go, right? And so all the link that I shared is dead. People are going to go there and it's a 5-minute. Is it even 5 minutes? It's dead. So I'm glad that they're coming over here, and now I'll have to delete that one as soon as this is over. Actually, I wonder, Scott is here. Hey guys, it's so good to see all these friendly, familiar faces. Another compliment on the shirt. Thanks. This is Elvis's first album, of course, homaged by the Clash album cover too. Is it 2 minutes? It felt like forever. It felt like forever. Well, you know what? I'm going to see if while I'm talking here, I can go over there and delete that bad boy so that we don't confuse people. Let me see if I can get that done here while I'm talking. What kind of deals are you guys finding and what are you picking up? I'm going to tell you guys, I'll tell you what I've been buying, but I'll also tell you that I've been finding some good digital deals. I know there's a lot of people that hate digital. I think I said everything that like in my okay, hold on. Here it is. Streamed. It's 2 minutes and 59 seconds. All right. Delete forever. 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 Delete forever. Anyway, digital is a supplement to a physical collection. Did you guys see, like, I posted about it on social media and like 10 people were like, oh, that's cool. The Goldbergs on Vudu. So I liked the Gold when it was on the earlier years. I liked the Goldbergs, and they put out 6 seasons on DVD, and obviously the show's in HD. It's an HD show. Um, and they never put out this. So it's a 10 season show, and they had the entire series digitally for $30 in HD. I was like, that's $3 a season. Like, yeah, I'd rather it was on physical media, but this is it. Like, this is my argument for, like, sometimes digital doesn't have to be a dirty word, because um it's the whole show for $3 a season, and I don't know if that's ever going to get a Blu-ray release. If it does, I'll be there for it. But I'm really excited that I finally have that show in HD, and I didn't pay a lot for it too. That's my thing, is like these sales. Oh, you guys. Well, first of all, I'm waiting to see if anybody's going to be like, "Oh, cool digital recommendation," because I don't want to like anger people. That's one of the things I learned, is like people get really angry about this stuff. They're like, you traitor." I'm like, no, no, no. There is no physical version of that. It's okay. Cowboy Bebop on iTunes for $5. The whole series of Cowboy Bebop. Now I'm not talking about that Netflix crap. I'm talking about the original classic Cowboy Bebop anime. $5 on iTunes. I have the physical media. I have the Blu-ray. I bought the digital just for when I'm sitting on the couch and don't feel like getting up or whatever. Outlaw Star, $5. Speed Racer, the complete series of Speed Racer was $5. So I was like, nice. So nobody's picking up on my digital talk, so I guess I'll move on. But there were some crazy digital deals, and I think that there's some stuff out there. If you're on a budget and you don't have a lot of room or whatever, it's an option there. But there are a lot of great physical deals too. Did you guys see those Shaw Brothers box sets from Shout Factory? Now Shout's doing a sale right now where it's like martial arts sale or something like that. I think that's what they call it. It's not a sale. Their sale prices are what their normal prices should be. But Amazon picked up on the first two of the Shaw Brothers box sets. It's like, I think one of them has 11 movies, one of them has 12 movies. They're like $180. Or maybe they're $169.99. And they were on sale. The first volume was on sale Friday for $85.99, I think it was, which is by far the lowest price it's ever been. ATL, all-time low. And then the second volume is still on sale for like $90.99, which is still like $20 cheaper than Shout Factory. I don't have any of those sets. We talked about this before. Like Arrow puts out their Shawscope box sets. Shout Factory gets the license, the Shaw Brothers stuff too, and they put out like the Brave Archer collection, and I mean it's a bunch of stuff. I did the math on it at one point. I was like, I think we've gotten like 60 Shaw Brothers movies from Shout Factory this year, and somebody was like, no, they put out this. It's like 100 movies just from Shout Factory, just in the last like 8 months. So you'd be buying them just to have them at this point, because there's no way you can watch that many movies, and they're all kind of the same. Is the thing about those martial arts movies. They're all kind of the same, but they're fun. I don't have them yet, and I missed the first deal because I was debating it. I was like, do I spend $85.99 on this right now and know that I can't watch it right now? And I didn't, but maybe I still will. What else? Oh, the $6 Million Man that's another really exciting. I think that's a $200 box set from Shout Factory, and that was 80. Hold on, I wrote it down. It was $87, which was a new all-time low for that one too. Because a lot of people, I reviewed that and the Bionic Woman. By the way, check out my interview with Kenneth Johnson, the showrunner and creator for the Bionic Woman, for the Incredible Hulk TV series. I got to, if you're like new to these and you're like you haven't watched the archive, and you're like, Heath talked to Kenneth Johnson. I got to ask Kenneth Johnson, because he didn't do the Incredible Hulk TV movies. He left the series when the series ended, so he didn't come back for like the death of the trial, the death of the Incredible Hulk, the return. I was like, how would you have ended the series? And he got to tell me, which is really cool. So go check that out. But those box sets are incredible, but they're really expensive, and people are like, I can't spend $200 on the $6 Million Man. It's worth 87. It's totally worth it. There's so much stuff on those discs. They're really, really, really well done. What are the behind the scenes issues with Alf? I don't know anything about. I don't have the Alf box set. I have the original Alf box set from, when was that? It was like $20 at Walmart. And I'm like, it's got to, now I know those are the syndicated versions, but I'm not so much of a completist that I'm going to pay. I don't even know what the new one's going for. I just know everything at Shout feels overpriced to me. That's probably not wise for me to just put out there on Front Street, but I just feel like a lot of their stuff's overpriced, and I can't afford some of this. If I can, I'm like, well, I've already got it. Do I double dip on something? So I don't even know what the issues were. Somebody else is like, yeah, what happened with Elf? Hey, Michael McCormick's here, the composer behind what is it? The Shark is Still Work. I've lost the title for a second. Jaws. Did a commentary for Jaws with me right here at Serial at Midnight. Michael McCormick. Um. Oh, somebody said, Judge, thank you so much for the Star Wars sequels rewatch video. Here's the irony of that. Like, I had a great time putting that together. I'll tell you what it was. So, this movies came out. I didn't love them. And I tried, again, like in the video, I say, like, I was a Star Wars kid. I loved Star Wars. And then Disney bought Star Wars. And I was like, well, Star Wars feels different now. And I just felt this distance between me and Star Wars. And so I just stopped, just quit. I just kind of stepped away from it. And I tried, you see me here on the channel. I tried to connect with it. I did videos about the books. I did videos about just talking to other fans. And I was like, Star Wars isn't making me happy right now. I feel like I'm a little off center. There we go. I was like, Star Wars isn't making me happy right now. So then we went to Disney. My wife and I went to Disney for our anniversary. And we went to Galaxy's Edge for the first time. It's amazing. It really is like living in like you're there in Star Wars. And I was like, maybe I need to give those movies another chance. So that's what I did. And I thought it was really like I had fun with it. And obviously you saw the video, so I wasn't angry, but I was not expecting the amount of people that weren't going to watch it. We're just going to click it, yell, and leave. And that's the thing about YouTube that kind of, I mean, not to be over dramatic, it kind of breaks your heart as a creator because you put so much. I worked on that video for a week, many hours, and you put this out there, and then you realize, oh, there's a certain amount of my audience, subscribers to my channel, who aren't interested in what I have to say. That's what's hard for me. So I appreciate that you watched it. I appreciate that you just gave it time. You gave it a chance to hear what I had to say because I don't love those movies. Somebody's like, you're such a shill for Disney. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Disney is the only studio that doesn't send me any press releases whatsoever. I cannot even get on their email list because they don't like me, because I've been so critical of Disney and what Disney's done. Every other studio, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount, Lionsgate, they'll send me press releases so I can publicize news. Disney won't even put me on their press release. I guess I'm dangerous. I don't know. But I love Disney history. I'm so connected to old Disney, but I'm like, so I'm a shill? Like, if you watch the video, there's no way I'm a shill. Anyway, somebody said they're shocked they're doing another trilogy. They should not be doing another trilogy. It will not go well. It cannot go well. If it's at best, it's going to be reactive again. There's no way to come out of what they've done and go, but this one's going to be good. They need to let it breathe. They need to give it like 3 years at least with nothing coming out so we can miss it. How can I miss you, baby? You never go away. Give me some space, man. Stuff's everywhere. They need to let it cool off. They need to really plan it out. Yeah, shill, you're always bashing remakes and franchises. That's right. I am, but that's what happens when people don't listen. That's what happens when people show up to a video like that, thinking they know what I'm gonna say, and then commenting and downvoting without even knowing what I had to say. So Scott has a good point that some people agreed with me 100%. Yes, they did. It's human nature to hear the criticism more than you hear the praise because it's a vulnerable thing, right? I'm like putting my thoughts out there. I spend a lot of time on this. Like like I'm human, right? It's just I think that's human nature, and we try to be better than that, but criticism seems to resonate so much more than praise. And that's what's hard. Just about in any creative endeavor, like putting yourself out there and then people being like, no. And it would be different if people had criticisms of what I actually said, but it's the people that didn't even watch it that are dragging that video down, are just yelling. The anger and fandom it's exhausting. It's really exhausting. How do I feel about Star Trek? I love Star Trek. I have tried, I enjoy Picard, but I have not seen all of it. I've watched the first season of Picard. I really liked it. I have tried to watch, what's the one that was on CBS that they brought back a few years ago? I'm trying to remember the name of it. I tried to watch that one, Discovery. I tried to watch Discovery, and I was like, it's all right. For me, Star Trek is so rooted in the Roddenberry dream, which is this weird, like, post like, the Roddenberry's like, I don't know, I was gonna say he's a hippie, but I don't even know if that's it. Like, there's this weird, um, like, futuristic, everything's gonna be okay, we're all gonna take care of each other, like, dream. There's this weird naivety to Roddenberry's vision that, I mean, I love. I think it's a beautiful thing, and, like, Kirk goes to all those planets and, like, sleeps with all the women and solves all the problems. Like that, but I grew up with that. I grew up with that. How could I not connect with that when that's what Star Trek was for me for so long? Like I remember when the Next Generation was new and I was like, not as good as the original. It's like a kid, like not as good as the original. But I feel like when you separate Star Trek from Roddenberry, it's kind of a different thing. And now they're just chasing IP is what it is. Like they're like what Paramount, who has been really good to Star Trek. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Paramount has really it could have been Star Wars. It could have been this thing like how do we monetize merchandising? Star Trek the shirts, Star Trek the bed sheets. They've really tried to pair it with creative people and times do move on. They've tried to have socially conscious things to say about it, but I just don't connect with it really. But I did like Picard because I don't know, there's something in Picard that I just really like. And maybe it's Patrick Stewart. Maybe it's just that weariness of like he's like 80 something years old and he's like still doing this, there's an element that I really connected with. Like for the movies, like when I was in the 90s, I was like prime age. I was rolling into college when First Contact came out. And I thought that was like, I was like, oh, this is the best Star Trek movie ever. Now when I go back to those, I'm like, it's kind of changed what Star Trek is because it's more space battles and more they're more action. They're action movies. And Star Trek First Contact's got the whole horror element because of the Borg, right? I kind of just miss like I think now Star Trek 1, the motion picture, is probably my favorite Star Trek movie. Which is cool. I'm gonna hear shameless promotion again because when I got to talk to David C. Fine, the producer who made that director's cut happen. Sorry, it's not a director's cut. It's the director's edition. He's like, it's not a director's cut. It's a director's edition. I was like, yes, sir. I'm sorry. He like it's a great version of that movie. I think that's really great. Somebody's asking about the Marvels 2023. I would be stupid to touch that, but I haven't seen it. I'll tell you this: I watched Captain Marvel when it came out in theaters, and I didn't hate it, but I was just like, these characters aren't interesting enough to carry a movie for me, and that's a problem that Marvel has had big time over the last two phases because they're trying to bring B and C list characters and like have them anchor their own movie. Shang-Chi's not big enough for a movie, in my opinion. Now I know that Marvel is trying to reach all these different audiences. That's good for Marvel, right? They're in the business of selling product. So you have your Black Panthers, you have Shang-Chi, you have the Miss Marvel TV series. Like I get why they do it. I just don't connect with it because I don't connect with those characters. When I think of Marvel, I want the Avengers. When I think of the Avengers, I think of Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. And when I think of those characters, I'm thinking of Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. So the idea, but here's another thing: we did that. They told that story. That story ended. The idea that they want to keep going, and people go like, "Well, the comics keep going." Comics are a different thing. Comics aren't $300 million 2.5 hour experiences. Comics are little bite-sized chunks of a soap opera that you get month after month. But you could argue that comic books are dead as well. Comics are dead. There's about 10,000 people supporting all this movies, physical media, comics. There's like 10,000 people supporting this stuff. And we're spending every dime we've got on it. It ain't great. It's not a good time for the health of these things. So I was watching Napoleon on Tuesday nights. I hope you have a great time with that. You'll have to let us know how it is the next time we do one of these. Favorite Marvel movie? Man, I'm not good with favorites. And see with Marvel, this you're gonna get you thinking you're asking a simple question. You're not. That's a super hard question for me because then I have to take you down the 10-minute rabbit hole, the elliptical response to get to where I'm trying to go. Because then I got to go like, well, it's the pieces that make the whole. So we don't get the end game without all the all the stuff that came before it. I really like the first Thor movie, only the first Thor movie, really, of the Thors. I really like the first Iron Man movie. It's probably going to be one of those two. You know what? First Guardians of the Galaxy, too. The first Guardians of the Galaxy movie is great, and they never got that tone back again, in my opinion. Um, Somebody said Star Trek original Blu-ray box set is half off on Amazon for $50. Is that the steelbook version? I know there was a steelbook version going for about 50. I wouldn't want the steelbook because I know they're going to stack those discs. Daniel brought up the next generation on Blu-ray. It's a beautiful thing. That the audio and video upgrade are wonderful. That is so true. One thing we got to talk about when we talk about Star Trek The Next Generation on Blu-ray is that it was super expensive and it did not make its money back for about 10 years. I think it's in the profits, like I think it's in the black now, but for a long time it was in the red. And it was a cautionary tale for studios. Don't restore your catalog because, you know, they did with Star Trek The Next Generation. They couldn't just put it on film or could put it on convert it to HD because all the special effects, they shot it on film, right? But then they finished it on video at 480p. So all the effects were 480. So they had to go back and redo all the special effects. And when they couldn't, you can tell it's an upscale. But they spent so much money on that and it didn't sell. Because here's the thing, people don't buy TV on disc. When they do buy TV on disc, they buy TV on DVD because TV on DVD is cheaper. It's more widely adopted. TV on Blu-ray just doesn't sell very well, which is, I think, why we're seeing it's been so long that the boutiques were getting their hands on that stuff, like Kino Lorber, right? Putting out Columbo, Kino Lorber putting out Monk. Universal started to pick up some of the slack there. They're putting out Psych, or they did put out Psych, which we talked about last time. But for a long time, the market wasn't there to support TV on disc or TV on Blu-ray. So when people go, what did I just talk about? And people were angry. It was some show. Oh, it's something we're going to talk about. Okay, hold on. We'll talk about this later in a second, or we'll talk more about this in a second. But this beast came. This is the complete series of Bonanza. Is this backwards for you guys? I just realized we're backwards here. Am I showing it backwards? Anyway, it's Bonanza. It's the complete series of Bonanza. And it took 14 years for the studio, for CBS Paramount, to get this on DVD. 14 years to get it on DVD. Because TV on disc doesn't sell very well. And as soon as I started talking about it, people were like, Blu-ray or nothing. I was like, well, then nothing. Then nothing. The TV on Blu-ray, Daniel says, has the market for TV on Blu-ray improved lately? Yes, it has. But I think one of the things we're seeing is like the bar for what success has been lowered a little bit. Because obviously the mainstream interest is dead, you know? The days of something selling 100,000 copies, we're never going back there again. But if they can sell 10,000, that's good. Is it a 700 disc set? It's a 112 disc set. It falls behind, I think Gunsmoke is more, and the largest ever is Dark Shadows, which I've got it right here, but I can't pick it up because there's stuff on top of it. Dark Shadows is like 100. People can look it up. You guys are on the internet. But this Bonanza is a beast, and these discs have so many special features on them. I guess we can go ahead and talk about it since we're talking about it right now. This little, comes with this little card, and like I'm not going to read all of this stuff to you guys, but the new bonus disc alone, there's a new bonus disc. Okay, so that disc has almost 3 hours of special features, and then like this is what I'm going to do over the holidays. Like I'm trying to pump the brakes a little bit on these videos and just enjoy, like spend time just watching and enjoying things. Look at that, like look at all of this. I posted this on social media, so I think maybe are we backwards? But like I'll hit the high notes here. So kitchen sink, okay, everything and the kitchen sink. So archival interviews with the co-producer, the creator and the producer, David Dortort, vintage interview with Dan Blocker. They've got galleries, extensive interviews. They've got A 1953 Fireside 3 theater episode, Man of the Comstock, written by David Dorbert. So the guy that created the series wrote a TV episode in 1953 before this even existed. That's on here. The cast did car commercials. Those are on here. Rare alternate pilot ending, original episode promos, episode commentaries with Anthony Lawrence and guest stars Ben Cooper, Stella Stevens, David Macklin, Julie Adams, Sue Ann Langdon, Lisa Liu. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And this is all just like the first quarter of the series. This goes through the whole thing. So like Tim Matheson came in at the end. Johnny Quest himself came in near the end of the series, I think the last season. So they got stuff with Tim Matheson on that season. Chevy commercial seldom seen in 60 years, featuring the cast of Bonanza, My Three Sons, and Route 66. Appearances by Lauren Green and Dan Blocker, and The Scene Stealers with Buster Keaton and Ed Wynn. Perry Como's Craft Music Hall. I mean, and that, again, I'm not reading all this to you. I'm just scratching the surface. So I am just like, what? And I will tell you guys, some of these discs are stacked. It's this packaging. Some of these discs are stacked. This is not my favorite packaging, but it's you. DVDs can take a lot. I know people say like, well, they're super fragile. Not as fragile as a 4K. You like breathe on a 4K wrong and it starts skipping on you. I've knock on wood, I've never really had a problem with these. I've had a couple of discs out of the thousands that I have that came in packaging like this that had problems. Somebody one time said that they were breaking discs getting them out of this package. It's not that hard. If you're breaking discs, you're doing it wrong. You put your finger on the hub here. Get a grip right here. Put your finger on the hub and you push. It just pops right off. Don't wrestle it and don't bend it. Just kind of use leverage. Use the leverage. So anyway, this has just shown up. I think it came 3 days ago. And I will tell you, I hate to say stuff before it happens, but that's me knocking on wood. I'm supposed to talk to the producer of this set in an interview. The person that made this possible wants to talk to me about this box set. And so that's exciting to me. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, it's not recorded yet. I think we've got a schedule after the holiday, but we'll see. What did the banana? It's $200. I did not pay for the set. I should tell you, I did not pay for the set. This was sent for journalistic purposes. Because I am going to be interviewing the creator or the producer of the set, but it goes for about $200, which is a lot. But if you break it down per season, it's like $14 per season. And that's the cheapest this show has ever been, because even when it was coming out single seasons, they were like $25-$30 per season. And they were doing half seasons for years maybe they were always half seasons. So you get like season 1, part 1, season 14, part 1, or whatever it was. And again, they just finished this series this year. I think it was May of this year. They finished releasing it on DVD. So when people go, well, why no Blu-ray? Because it took 14 years to get this. Maybe we should just be happy we have this. Paramount's also put out the Twilight Zone and the original Star Trek, also superb. Yes, I love my Star Trek OG box set. The Twilight Blu-ray box set's really good too. So I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Gyre Guy? Anyway, you've been collecting for a year. You haven't had any issues with skipping or breaking so far. First of all, congratulations on collecting for a year. That's great. Sometimes it feels like we are the old guard who's watching the torch. Like, I want to pass the torch to another generation. So when I hear somebody's been collecting for a year, I'm like, that's awesome. Because in this era of streaming, and again, I don't view streaming or digital as the enemy. I think I posted on Twitter. I was like, I support the art however we can get it. So that's VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, CDs, MP3s, records, vinyl, paper books, ebooks. Like, I'll use all of it. But I feel like in this modern era, it's a shrinking. We are a shrinking market. So when I see people like you say, I've been doing it for a year, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Best of luck to you. We are here to help. You are in the right place. Black Friday 2027. I'll pick that bad boy up. Yeah, I did. The Gunsmoke one hasn't come down much. It's about what it's always been. Kenneth, thank you. Why, in your opinion, in the modern era, Superman has worked so well on TV, but on film, his recent ones have not worked as well? Because the Warner Brothers theatrical department doesn't understand Superman. And to quote Mark Waid, the writer, the DC, like, one of the most prolific writers for DC Comics, when we call Superman the big blue Boy Scout, that's a good thing. That's not something to be embarrassed about. That's something to be excited about. We need North Stars. Like, would you say about Captain America? Would you be like, he's just outdated. He doesn't serve a purpose anymore. Like, people love Captain America because exactly of who he is. Warner Brothers Theatrical does not understand that. They think that all of these legacy heroes from Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, that they have to reinvent them for modern audiences instead of tapping into what makes them timeless. TV doesn't have that problem. This goes all the way back to Gyra. Gyra, like Gyra. Okay. I think I got it. Look at Kevin Smith talking about working on that movie. His version of the Superman movie was that 98, 99. It was 2 decades ago plus, and they didn't get it then. I think what David Goyer talked about how he and the Man of Steel script, like Superman, Kal-El's ship blows up, and somebody at the studio said, "You can't have the ship blow up," and he was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because if Kal-El's ship blows up, he can't get back to Krypton." And he was like, "The planet that died, so he could," like, these people have no idea what they're talking about. But you get less of that with the TV. Although I will say, I don't think that Superman and Lois has been great either. I liked the first season, and it was like, boop. It tanked for me. Like, this last season is one of the grimmest, most depressing TV seasons I've ever watched. All you lucky people. Yeah, and I know why. Like, we've talked about it. It's Blu-ray doesn't sell. That's the answer. Like, a TV on Blu-ray set of Bonanza is not going to sell. It's going to be so expensive. Like, I'll have him tell you, but it would cost so much money. It's not going to make its money back. That's what it comes down to. Like, we all, it's money. It has to make more than it's going to cost. Wino Reeves, Super. Are you talking about George Reeves? This is from Classics, Sci-Fi, and Beyond. Wino Reeves, Superman Blu-ray. We're talking about George Reeves. George Reeves, right? George Reeves, Christopher Reeve. Yeah. At one point, I heard Warner was working on it, but did you see my interview with Matt Patterson, who used to work at Warner Archive this past week? He didn't work at Warner Archive this past week. I posted the interview this past week. Warner is in what's a way that's not defamatory? Warner is struggling to stay afloat right now. So things that were planned at one point have been off the table because there's just no people to work on it. They fired thousands of people, and now you have a very, very small team doing what many people used to do. It's the long answer, or the short answer to that. Where's Pat Garrett? It's being worked on. It's being worked on. All right, let's do this. So, did you guys shop the Criterion sale, the Barnes & Noble Criterion sale this past? It's going on all month long. I've bought one thing. This is where, like, if you follow me on social media, you already know because I told people. I was like, this is my one purchase from November's Criterion sale. I picked up the Freaks box set. Yeah, I haven't even unwrapped it yet. But I'm really excited about it. Some people were like, I have that on DVD. I won't be buying the Blu-ray. Okay, well, this is not just Freaks on Blu-ray. This is Freaks and two earlier silent films from Todd Browning. New 2K digital restoration of Freaks, so no 4K. Why no 4K for Freaks? Because it's restored in 2K. New 2K digital restoration of The Unknown. New 2K restoration of The Mystic with a new score. We have audio commentaries on Freaks and The Unknown and The Mystic by David J. Scowl, who is like the guy that you want to talk to. One of the guys. He's the Mount Rushmore of monster commentators. new interview. Here, I'm just reading to you guys, and it says it's got. I'm real excited about this. The thing that I was like, what? It has a. Now I'm looking for it. It's David J. Scull reading a story for like. Where is it? Archival documentary episode from 2019 of critic Kristen Lopez's podcast Ticklish Business. Reading by Scull of Spurs, the short story by Todd Robbins on which Freaks is based. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I did buy Freaks, but I have not opened it yet. Tim got the Blu-ray set too. Nice. Oh, Tim's got the star by his name because he's a YouTube member. Does everybody see that? Just draw everybody's attention to Tim and his blue star. Thank you, Tim. I want to do something extra special for you, Tim, and be like, thanks, Tim. Hey, this was cool. This is not new, or like this is something cool that happened this last week or so. Did you guys see? I don't remember where I talked about it. That's where I'm at. I don't remember where I talked about this. What day is today? Where am I? And where are my pants? At some point, I talked about the twoist about these new releases from Visual Vengeance. Who said Digital Vengeance? Like digital Visual Vengeance. From they're two movies from Brett McCormick. They're micro budget movies from Brett McCormick. The Abomination and then Replicator. I talked about those on the channel, and then out of the blue, I got an email from Brett McCormick, the director of the movies. Didn't even see I talked about these. He was like, "Hey, I saw your video about Sam Katzman." As I did a video over a year ago. I read a book about Sam Katzman, and I was just really feeling all these 50s low budget movies. I was like, man, this is what my heart is. And that's like the lifeblood of Serial at Midnight. It's like Bonanza, like only mid-century culture is what it comes down to. Mid-century stuff. And he hadn't even seen it. So he saw my video about Sam Katzman. He's like, I wrote a book, Texas Schlock. I wrote a book called Texas Schlock. You know, Carol Channing. Texas Schlock, B-movie, sci-fi, and horror from the Lone Star State. And he's like, would you like to read it? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, not just read it, but you made micro budget movies. Like, come on, let's talk about it. So he's like, well, okay. So he sent me, I was like, I just talked about your movies. He worked for, he worked on a movie by David A. Pryor, who did Deadly Prey and, all these very low budget movies. And I just did a commentary earlier this year with for the movie Killzone with the producer of Killzone who worked with this a David A. Pryor movie. And so it's like, let's talk about David A. Pryor stuff because he's dead now. He's gone. And there are fewer people left to tell that story. And he was like, let's do it. So this showed up very recently. He personalized it. He was like, thanks, Heath. What does it say? To Heath, thanks for your interest. And it's about Texas low budget movie. Larry Buchanan, Edgar G. Ulmer. Oh, yeah. Pat Boyette, Russ Marker, Hal P. Warren, Jim Sullivan, Tom Moore, Robert A. Burns, Brett McCormick. He's got a chapter on here about himself. I am so excited about checking this out. So that's somewhere down the line. Well, that'll happen. But if you did not know that this book was around, I know there's a lot of horror fans that are watching this and a lot of B-movie fans. So Brett McCormick has a book about small budget filmmaking from Texas directors. I can't say that. Let's see. The Wade Williams collection needs to get out on Blu-ray. Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. No arguments from me. They were who was working on that? Somebody was working on that. It was Filmmasters. Filmmasters put some Wade Williams movies out, didn't they? No, the Film Detective, because it's the same people. Replicator is like did he make it in like 3 days or something like that? Like he has these people and he's like, let's just go. Let's just do it. We're going to talk about Replicator when I talk to him. Susan Hart. One of the biggest villains of low budget filmmaking is Susan Hart, or Susan Hart, whatever her name, Nicholson. What's her last name now? For people that are watching this, don't know what we're talking about. So Susan Hart she married James Nicholson, right, from American International Pictures, and somehow ended up with the rights to a handful. It's like about a dozen, I want to say, AIP movies, like I Was a Teenage Werewolf. I think I Was a Teenage Frankenstein is one of those as well. There's a handful of movies that she has the rights to, and she will not license them out. Wouldn't do it in the DVD days. And now, like, you think, like, well, in the booming era of DVD, when a disc could sell 150,000 copies, that's the time to do it. Wouldn't do it then, won't do it now. So the money that's associated with that would have made that possible, the money she's expecting to license those, it's gone. It's not coming back. And she won't do it. So at some point, those movies are going to just go into the public domain. We all have pirated copies anyway, right? There's where your digital comes in, because there's no physical version of that. Let's get a Blu-ray or a bootleg, get a bootleg of something. But it's going to come from subpar elements. Do I like Empire of the Ants? Yeah, it's been a while since I watched that one, but I like all that stuff. All that stuff's really great. Susan Hart, have a heart, please. Yeah, I think it's all about money. And maybe there's some other reason. I don't know. Yeah, David says VHS. I think that's going to be the best source we're going to get for those until, let's see, when would public, it was 80 years, or it's 90 years for public domain. I don't know. We'll see. Here's what happens when these people pass away, things change. Kids or, ancestors, like people are like, what do I need this for? Like, let's make some money. So they'll come out one day. Gorgar wants to know my thoughts on the new Aliens and Abyss 4K. Skeptical. There's not a great track record there. And what I saw in the trailer for the Abyss doesn't make me feel better. So it will probably be better than what I've got, which is a bootleg. But I am skeptical. I hope for the best. How about that? James Cameron, George Lucas, and Peter Jackson are titans of creativity and filmmaking, and they revolutionized the way movies are made, and they loved computers as a tool to help them tell their stories. It was the Abyss that gave Cameron the technology for the liquid metal Terminator. At some point, the technology consumed those creators, and they care more about the technology than they care about. It's a hot take from Heath. I don't know what happened to those guys. All three of them. I'm like, you used to make really cool things. Now, maybe it's the money. Maybe there's so much money in developing that new technology that's what they were always interested in. Like, I just want to be a billionaire. Somebody said, a film watcher 96 said, not gonna lie, this past year Criterion and Kino Lorber became my favorite physical media companies. Stay tuned. If you like Kino Lorber, every month I do my monthly Kino Lorber spotlight videos. But I've also interviewed Frank Tarzi, the vice president of acquisitions at Kino Lorber, twice. And volume 3 hits this week. That conversation is recorded, edited, and ready to go. Probably going to put it up on Tuesday. And there is some, you want to know what happened with Columbo? We talk about Columbo. You want to know what happened with how are 4Ks doing? We're going to talk about that. You want to know how, like, why is this getting a 4K so soon to the Blu-ray release? But we're going to talk about that. He does not hold back. Now, well, no, that's all I'm going to say. So stay tuned. New releases. Let's hit these really quick before this is very few new releases here. You can tell we're getting to the end of the year because it slows down during the holidays. It's like the only time when I can just go like, just like enjoy, like take a deep breath. Blue Steel hit from Viavision, which is Lionsgate. And somebody asked me how it compared to the imprint disc, which was part of the Neo Noir collection. Was it Neo Noir 2? I can't remember. Anyway, so I pulled that, and I think they're the same transfer. I think it's the exact same transfer. They have most of the same special features. We got an audio commentary on both of them with Alexandra Heller Nicholas, a hired gun with editor Lee Percy, the phallic woman deconstructing Blue Steel, film historian Professor Jennifer Mormon, staring down the barrel, with production designer Toby Corbett, and a profound emotional response, a video essay by film historian Chris O'Neill. Now, the Lionsgate, the Vestron release claims a vintage promo, still gallery, theatrical trailer, and TV spots. I don't think that's on this one, but it might be. So anyway, they're close enough. Like, you know what the difference is? One of them's for Australia, one of them's for North America. That's what it comes down to. I don't know about the Night Flyer, honestly. I do not know. I'm guessing rights, but I don't know. Academy Award winner, Jamie Lee Curtis. Scott, he can't, like, I asked him, he answered what he could. I'm amazed he said as much as he did. If people want to know what's going on with Columbo, Google it. Google Columbo 2023. Is Blue Steel twice the price of other restaurants? I don't know. I did not know that. Oh, Smallville is 80, or so hold on, I'm seeing some people say 80, some people say 89. That's a great deal for that set. I love it. My Smallville video is like a perennial video. I think my Smallville video brings people to the channel, which is great because I love that series. Yeah, Target buy two get one free sale. I have that in my notes. Did we talk about that? I think I was going to, and I got sidetracked by the microphone failure. The problem with Target is they don't have a lot of stuff. They don't have a huge inventory. Thanks, Eric. So Eric was telling us know. Blue Steel, you can find it at reasonable prices. The problem, like some of these Lionsgate, these Vestron titles are like $11.99, which they went from being like 30 2 or 3 years, like 3 years ago when that line was still in its heyday. And then there was a gap. And when they came back, like $11.99, like, whoa, with a lot of special features too. Banachek. Papard. Yes. That's probably like, boy, that would be cool, but I don't know who would buy that. Maybe just you and me, David, but I'd be there for it. Yeah, Target doesn't have a lot. I use them for these, all these old mid-century TV shows, M Squad, Checkmate, Laredo, The Deputy. There's like this shelf right here, all the way down of vintage TV shows, like 50s and 60s TV shows. I was using the buy two get one free sale for that. They don't even, a lot of that stuff's gone out of print now. Sidebar, those were, a lot of these shows come from Timeless Media Group, which got bought by Shout Factory. And, Shout's not really the company now that they were 10, 15 years ago. They bought these old shows, and those shows don't sell. That's the thing. Like, these shows don't sell. The audience for that, like, I'm the audience for that, but I'm not normal. I'm not your normal average customer. I'm not your mainstream customer. And they didn't sell. So a lot of them have gone out of print. I'm like, well, you're knock on wood again. Thank goodness I have those shows because they're just gone now. I could pirate them. I could download them from somewhere. Eric said that he's had bad luck with Target shipping books. No problem with vinyl and Blu-rays. That's not good. Yeah. How's the Maximum Overdrive Vestron? I don't think I have that. I don't have them all. None of us here are normal. Yeah. Well, it's like that's the niche of this channel, right? Is like Serial at Midnight is such an extension of me, and I'm so far off the mainstream path and have been for a while. Like 10, 15 years ago, this channel would have looked different because I'd be talking about Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and like You know, I've been making videos about Star Wars. Who would do that now? It would just be different now. Like what happened is I got older and now I'm in my 40s, right? And I'm like, I'm not interested in anything that Hollywood's making. And I just go off. I just wander off the path. And I'm like out in the woods somewhere. And I'm like, ooh, the deputy. What's that? And then start checking all this stuff. But that's a joke because, of course, I grew up with that. I'm of the last generation that grew up with all that stuff on the dial. Before cable was widely adopted, you would tune into a channel, WJTC TV 44, on a Sunday. It's no telling what you'd find on that channel. And that's how I was exposed to a lot of stuff. I say I'm the last generation that had Humphrey Bogart movies, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mr. Ed, all on the same dial at the same time. Like you change that channel, black and white movies, change it again. You got some cartoons, some syndicated cartoon like Dino Saucers, which is awesome, by the way. Co-created, or I think just created by Michael Uslan, the Batman Batman movie producer. But like that went away in the 90s and then the 2000s. And I grew up with all of this like Nick at Night, Nickelodeon at Night turned into Nick at Night. And it was just like, hey, here's Mr. Ed and the Monkeys and Lancelot Link, Secret Agent Chimp. Skeletank McGraw remembers Dino Saucers. Wasn't it an amazing theme song? Dinosaurs. And had like the synth. People go look that up. Check it out. Yeah, back when it was a dial, when you actually had to tune it in. If it wasn't coming in really well, you had to like mess with rabbit ears. Or the younger viewer, the guy that's been collecting for a year, he's like, these old people, they talk about stuff I have no idea. Okay, so here's more new release stuff. We got Kill Butterfly Kill from Neon Eagle Video. I just realized this art wrap is falling out of this thing. It has 2 cuts of the movie. This is a let's see. It's backwards too. It's not even. All right, hold on. Wow. Okay. Try it again. No, still crooked in there, and that's going to bother me. Hold on. So let me just show my OCD to everybody here. But we're all kind of OCD because we collect physical media. That's why we do it. Years after... No, I'm not going to read this to you guys. I'm not going to do it. It's a prime example of the so-called black movie and exploitation subgenre popular during the 1980s, early 1980s in Taiwan. Though cheaply made, they were stylish and potent action films with often socially conscious aims and 2 feet planted firmly in the gutter. It's a new 4K restoration from the best surviving elements. The English language cut of the film is prepared by the notorious IFD Films. This slightly better cut differs from the original Mandarin language version known as Underground Wife, which is also presented here in a 4x3 full screen SD print. Finally, the set also features the absolutely gonzo 1987 cut of the film, American Commando 6 Kill Butterfly Kill, which features new scenes starring IFD regulars Mike Abbott and Mark Miller from a 4K scan of the original camera negative. And then we've got a commentary by Kenneth Brarson and Paul Fox of the podcast on Fire Network. Who's into the Asian cinema, man? We talk about this all the time. Like, I cannot believe there's like we talked about the Shaw Brothers movies in this video, right? It wasn't in the old one. Was I talking about those when nobody could hear me, or was it here? I think it was here. It's like 100 Shaw Brothers movies just this year alone. It's just like a fire hose, and this is not Shaw Brothers, but like the Asian cinema floodgates, it's wide open. Bob, like that is a barrier, but I feel like it's less of a barrier than we would imagine, because I can tell you it has been worked on and it was planned until Warner Brothers got bought and then changed 2 CEOs. Like, we were going to get that. It was in the works. It's less about political correctness and more about corporate incompetence. And the people running these companies, again, check out my interview with Matt Patterson. The people running these companies come from technology. They don't know anything about movies. It's a bad time. It's a bad time. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Yes. I think I've got that somewhere on a hard drive somewhere. From this is Radiance. Tell me a second. From Radiance, we got a new arrival. This is Messiah of Evil. Radiance is doing great things. By the way, interviewed Fran Simeone, came from Arrow. Left Arrow after like 13 years, started Radiance, and he has been crushing it. I think he's just putting out the movies that he wants to see. And he kind of told me that when we talked in that interview. He kind of said that, and I was like, you hear a lot of things. You're like, kind of goes in one ear and out the other. He's proving that to be true. That he's just putting out the movies that he wants to see on disc. So this is the latest hotness from Radiance. Give us the Obi strip. And I love that these come with, hold on, let me make sure I'm putting this in right. These come with a little book, not really little. Sometimes these have nudity in them, so I better be careful. 24-page book. So that just showed up. Eric says it's one of this year's best releases. Hey, Alex. Thanks, Tim. Tim's letting us know that Messiah of Evil features Price is Right game show girl Anitra Ford. Any thoughts on Deaf Crocodile releases? I have none of them, I don't think. Maybe I do. I don't think I have any. Sorry. The Fugitive is here, guys. The Fugitive has hit 4K, and I was cautiously optimistic because, again, Warner Brothers has been making some choices that are kind of concerning. Like, they've been dropping the Blu-rays. This is the 4K Blu-ray and the digital code. In the case of something like Enter the Dragon, it hit hard. No pun intended. It hit hard because there were so many special features on the Blu-ray and then like special edition versions of it. Like Warner has so many special features for Enter the Dragon, and none of them are on the 4K. But this has everything from the Blu-ray special features wise, except for a pilot film. I don't even remember this, but in 2000, I think it was in 2000, there was a pilot TV movie for another Fugitive series, because the Fugitive is based on a classic 60s, got it around here somewhere, classic 60s TV series. They were going to reboot it in 2000, I guess, and the pilot for that, with stars Tim Daly from Wings, was on the Blu-ray. They've dropped that, so probably a licensing issue, or I don't know, a rights thing. It's not here, but everything else is here. So we've got the introduction by Andrew Davis and Harrison Ford, commentary by Andrew Davis and Tommy Lee Jones, outhouse, hen house, whorehouse, the Fugitive, Thrill of the Chase, 2 exciting documentaries, Derailed, Anatomy of a Train Wreck, and On the Run with the Fugitive. And here's the most important part. It looks good. It looks good. That's the most important thing. Glare. Every 4K is different. This one looks really good, and I'm happy to report that. I love this movie. I even like the sequel, U.S. Marshals. Now, I'm kind of anti-sequel now, because how many of them ever work? I'm kind of anti-sequel these days. In my middle age, I'm looking at some of these things and I'm like, But I really like U.S. Marshals because it doesn't have Harrison Ford, but it's Tommy Lee Jones as that character again, hunting for another fugitive. It was well done. I don't think it has the same legacy, but coming out in the late 90s, 98. I think U.S. Marshals was 98. Yeah, David Janssen was the star of The Fugitive. The Creatora123 just commented on something that I always need to say, but I don't, which is that in Europe and the UK, they get the 4K and the Blu-ray. Which I'm like, is it different? It's all being licensed from the home company based out of Los Angeles. So for whatever reason, some math is being done in the UK and in Europe that is not being done here, where they're like, give them the Blu-ray too, but never here in the United States. All of our Region A releases, never. So Europe got that amazing Enter the Dragon box set, which had, I'm trying to, was it 3 discs? I can't even remember. It was like an amazing Enter the Dragon box set. I bought, where's Casablanca? There it is. This was a Europe only release. Here in the US, we got the single version 4K, the single disc 4K. I imported this. This was was this a Zavvi? Maybe this was a Zavvi thing. Steelbook, which honestly, I'm not a huge Steelbook guy. They are heavy and they weigh my shelves down, and they get damaged so easily. But it's 3 discs. It's got all the stuff that the old Blu-ray special edition had, which is like the documentary about the brothers Warner. It's got here, it might even say this was one of my releases of the year last year. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about it again, because I do import these from the UK sometimes for things that I really care about. So here's all this stuff came in this version. And then the features, introduction, so like the Lauren Bacall introduction, like, all right. The bonus disc, you must remember this, the Warner Brothers story, and the Brothers Warner documentary, Jack L. Warner, The Last Mogul documentary, and more. So that was worth picking up so I could have all my Casablanca in one place, because it is one of my favorite movies. But this didn't come out in the United States. I had to import this, and that's very frustrating. A movie made by a classic Hollywood studio that doesn't come out in the United States, or an edition that doesn't come out in the United States. Like, what? Let's see if I can do this. Get in there. No. All right. I'll do it later. I'll shelve it later. I feel like I'm missing some stuff, guys. What? Oh, Grindhouse Video has a Black Friday sale that includes Radiance titles. Ooh. That's good to know. See, I can keep up with all this stuff. So I'm glad you guys are looking out. Discotheque. How do you feel about Discotheque getting bought out by, was it, who bought them out? Was it Crunchyroll? That was a bummer to me. Felt like another one bites the dust. A couple more things. This just showed up from Flickr Alley. I've been excited about this. There was a little bit of a delay, like a 1-month delay. This is French Revelations. Billy Wilder fans, heads up. This is so fanfare. These are 2 rare French movies from the 1930s, 1934 and 1935. Fanfare d'Amour is the first version of Some Like It Hot. The Billy Wilder version from 1959 with Tony Curtis and Marilyn Monroe and Jack Lemmon is the 3rd version of that story. This is the first version. There's a German version, which is the 2nd version, but it's French and it's 1930s, and it's like, wow, how much of what we think about Some Like It Hot is here. Also, because this is taking place in France and is not made by an American studio, it's a little spicier than what an American studio could do after the production code crackdown. So there's profanity in it, and there's, it's cross-dressing guys, right? But in the 30s, like it's the thing, we talk about this a lot sometimes because I'm a historian kind of a guy. Like, we think that the past was the sanitized, very like, oh, they didn't think like that. Of course, we were exactly the same as we were 100 years ago, which was 200 years ago and 300 years ago. We have not changed. But our art in the 30s, 30s and 40s, and even in the 50s, American art was heavily controlled by basically Catholic decency police. So there are certain things that you just can't see in an American movie under that code. But you go back to pre-code, whoo, saucy. So anyway, it's really good. And the restoration is like, mwah, chef's kiss. So good. And then I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it because I will be wrong. But the second feature here is it's Billy Wilder's directorial debut. 1934, centers around a rich playboy who enjoys careening around Paris in a shiny Buick When his father forces him to sell the car, he suffers a class-related existential crisis, falls in with a local car theft gang, and attempt to get his Buick back. In doing so, he learns about the underbelly of the the working class and the working living. But he also falls for Jeanette, screen legend Danielle Darrieux. Here, only 16 years old, Billy Wilder made his directorial debut with this film during a brief stay in Paris, sandwiched between his escaping the rise of Nazism in 1933 Berlin and heading to the United States via Mexico. There's an audio commentary on both films. There's an essay, which is great. This is for the film historians, and there are a lot of you guys out there. Great, great, great essay. And it's like, I'm loving what Flicker Alley is doing. They put out a set, I think it's about 2 years ago. In the shadow of Hollywood, right? For what it's their Poverty Row box set. Shoot, what's it called? Anyway, I got a video about it, and it's their Poverty Row box set, and they restored all these Poverty Row movies from the 40s, and it's great stuff. They're doing great, great, great restorations. Mike, no, a lot of this stuff, some of this I count as press. Like, people send this stuff to me, so I will review it, or so I'll talk about it, and that's what this is. Like, I get to talk about a lot of these mainstream releases, or just not even mainstream. I get to talk about a lot of stuff because I fall under the journalism press banner, so it's review copies is what it is. But I did buy Freaks. I want to be clear with that. I don't ever want anybody, I said this in the last live stream, do not feel you have to keep up with me, because I don't think you can. I don't know anybody in the YouTube sphere talking about movies that's getting the volume that I'm getting. And one of the reasons I get this volume is because people know that I love it and I watch it and I will talk about it, that I care about film, and it's not just a collectible for me, but it's like, it's the gateway. I always say, like, the disc is the gateway to the experience. And I love movies. And it's not the love of buying movies. And I think these companies know that, because when I talk about Billy Wilder, they know, well, Heath knows Billy Wilder directed Some Like It Hot, and Billy Wilder directed The Apartment, which is probably my favorite Billy Wilder movie, but I don't know. Didn't he also do Double Indemnity? I got the book, Cameron Crowe interviewing Billy Wilder, which is, it's book's out of print now. It's really rare, but like, people know that I love film, so I get these opportunities, and I'm grateful for them. Flicker Alley releases are so expensive because it goes into it. That's what goes into the releases. When you look at a studio release, like a Warner Brothers or a Paramount or a Universal release, when you look at a major studio release, they're sitting on billions of dollars, and they're restoring those movies for wide consumption. They're going to end up on streaming services. They're going to end up on the digital platforms. They're going to go to 4K. They're going to go to Blu-ray, whatever. They'll go to a bunch of different places. Everywhere those movies can be monetized, they will be. So they can drop $100,000 on a restoration and get it back. It doesn't hurt. But smaller companies like Flicker Alley, and I talked to Bill Lustig from Blue Underground, these restorations are coming out of pocket. Classic Flicks, same thing. So if they're spending $100,000 on a restoration, where's it coming from? They're a small company. Most of these companies are just a few people, like 3 people. Literally, I think Blue Underground is essentially Bill and a few other people. Flicker Alley is a handful of people, like I'm going to say 5 or less. And they subcontract the work out. So they have to pay for it. And so they have to get that back. It's and because they're not going to sell 10,000 copies of this isn't going to sell 10,000 copies. This is going to sell a few thousand. It just drives all those costs up, and so they have to get it back. So that's the price. That's why boutique Blu-rays tend to cost more than main studio titles. And I fear that over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see those costs continuing to go up, because as that mainstream audience declines, we are propping it up. It falls on us, and we support it. It's like direct support. You know what I mean? So I get it. And it, like, we will not be able to have everything we want. Like, no one can afford all this stuff. I couldn't afford all this stuff. Nobody could afford all this stuff. But, you know, that's That's part of being that small niche audience. Mike knows we are niche. We are niche. I do not know Severin's Black Friday deals. Severin and I are not in communication with each other. I've asked, so I don't tend to see those. What were they? Anything I should know? And honestly, like some of their stuff, I'm like, some of it I've liked some of it. Some of it's just not for me. I've never been a huge fan of that bottom video shelf 80s and 90s. Growing up in the childhood that I had, super conservative, sheltered, extreme fundamentalist, evangelical house. I have like a lot of those movies. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what they are most of the time. We have a super chat from Scott Lovelace, and I can't put this on the screen because but I'm going to read it. Scott Lovelace, $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Scott. Did you see the news from Media Play News that 4K outsold Blu-ray 31% to 26% for the week ending November 11th? Interesting news. I did not see that. What do we attribute that to? What came out that week that might have boosted those Blu-ray numbers? Because there's got to be a reason, right? What oh, I kind of want to go look at the schedule now. You know what I'm going to do? You just paid $5 for that super chat. We're going to do this. I'm going to look at the Blu-ray releases for that week. That's going to be this is the first week of November. Here, let's see. New releases. Blu-ray. Crazy old Maurice. Crazy old Maurice. All right, let's see. How do I live without you? How do I... November 2023 Blu-ray releases. Let's see, that was the week of Scrooged. Fargo, Witness, Scrooged, Trading Places, American Graffiti, Black Hawk Down, Jackie Chan, Violent Night. There's a lot of releases, guys. Gran Turismo hit 4K. The Marx, I should have mailed it to the Marx Brothers. I doubt those were driving a ton of sales, but we got standalone releases of Duck Soup, Monkey Business, Animal Crackers, Horse Feathers, and Coconuts. Those were previously included in, was it Universal's Marx Brothers box set? Junior. A Bullet for Sandoval came out, which I talked about that release. After the last live stream, I watched A Bullet for Sandoval and The Gamblers and enjoyed both of them. Both very hard to find movies. Neither of them great, but both worth a watch. I'm not seeing anything here that I would attribute necessarily to such a boom like that. So maybe it's just a trend of the market that Blu-ray is gaining steam. Could it be? Could it be? Is it? Hold on. There's a Crusader 53 who is a YouTube member. It's almost like I've been talking for like 80 minutes. Why are there limited numbers of prints why are there limited numbers of prints for purchase, like 1,500? You think that they would max sales as much as possible? Sometimes that's a limited license and they agree to only release a certain amount of that, like they'll only put out that number. Vinegar Syndrome with Rad, perfect example. Will restore Rad in 4K. Rights holder. Okay, but you can only put out, what was it, 2,000 or something like that? Other reasons, because that's all they have the money for. Because they can't keep it going. They have to, it's with smaller independent distributors, they have whatever they can afford. And when that money's gone, they take the profits of what they've sold, they put it into something else. Some of these companies are 1 or 2 releases away from going out of business. They are 1 or 2 disasters away from going out of business. Which is why, support who you can. Oh, Barbie at Oppenheimer. Well, Oppenheimer's not out yet, is it? Is Oppenheimer out? By the way, Terry, it's good to see you. I didn't realize that you were here. I'm sorry. So Mike said it's why I love you, Heath, but I don't know what it's connected to. So I just like that you love me. That's okay. Junior. That's true. Hey, there's one other thing I want to shout out. Yeah, Oppenheimer's still on pre-order. That's what I thought. Dan Persons, who was here to talk about the 3D manifesto. He was taking flat movies, not 3D. He was taking flat movies and converting them to 3D at home with like off the shelf software. And he was like, "Are you interested in this?" And I was like, "It's not really my thing, but you should come talk about it." So he did. He keeps sending me his latest releases. I'm going to talk about him here. Like, he's doing great work, uh, especially considering how he's achieving all of this. And every one of them, it gets better than the last one. So his latest release is Daughter of Horror 3D, presented in Space Brains 3D. So one of the things that he does, because he is a fan of this kind of thing, and he's a collector, is like these are available on his Etsy shop, Space Brains 3D on Etsy. But like, it's DIY. Like, he's burning these out of his house, right? He's burning these discs out of his house. So I got two. Oh, here. So we got the movie on a disc, a DVD R, and he personalizes it as much as he can. So like for me, I don't know that everybody gets this treatment, but he's got this little date here, and it says burned exclusively for Serial at Midnight. For Serial. Hey, that's me. But he gives you, all right, I cannot see doing that. Oh, the last time I watched a movie like that too, it stuck like that for like an hour. Like, just see blue and red. Designed for dreaming in 3D. He includes shorts, bonuses. Like, he gives you bonus features. So special bonus shorts designed for dreaming in 3D. The many faces of Daughter of Horror in 3D, and behind the scenes of Daughter of Horror 3D. So these are just cheesy old movies, but I love them. I know a lot of you guys do too. And nobody else is doing this. So I think one of the reasons he just wants people to know these are out there. And I think it's really cool. I got a lot of respect for the guy for taking. It just feels like a lot of work. I was, again, even he's done like 6 of these now, 5 or 6 of them, and I'm like, why? Why are you like? It's because he loves it. Because he just really wants to do it. It feels like so much work, but he just loves doing it. So if you want to check these out, do head over to the Etsy store. Let him know Serial at Midnight sent you. I don't know how many of these he's sending out. By the way, on the note of Dan Persons, he's a radio host as well. He does like radio criticism and stuff. He's a writer. He's a writer first and foremost. But I was reading there's a book that came out. I think it came out in 1994. It's called The Gen X Reader. I am Generation X, and I love reading about my people because my people think differently than baby boomers, and we definitely think differently than millennials and Gen Z. And I just like, I'm going, because I'm in midlife. I'm having like a midlife thing the last year or two. And I was like, where are what are we doing now? Where are we now? So I was digging out this Gen X Reader. There's a Dan Persons article in there about, I think it's about Ren and Stimpy. It is. It's about Ren and Stimpy, like the genius of Ren and Stimpy. 94, that was like cutting edge. So he goes way back with geek culture and, the stuff, the subculture, that kind of thing. That's all the new releases I got to talk about. We got a few more minutes here before we pull the plug on this live stream. What do y'all want to talk about for the last few minutes here? And did we think of any reason that Blu-rays took off and passed DVD? Scott brought up a really interesting, because the last time I remember that happening, Avatar came out on 4K and Blu-ray, and I was like, well, there's the James Cameron golden touch. You put something out and people are like, take my money. It's just like that meme. It's take my money. But I don't know what the smoking gun is this time. Is there no polarized version of Friday the 13th 3D? I don't remember. I just watched that again in October, but I watched the flat. I watched the flat version. The 3D version's on there, isn't it? I was thinking the 3D version was polarized, but I guess it wasn't. Are these live streams on a schedule, or is it when you get time? So I'm trying to do them twice a month on a Sunday at 2:00. That's the schedule for now. Unless things change, and I don't think they will. Because people are out on Saturday going to wherever, going to the movies or going out to eat or whatever. Saturday is a day for going out. A lot of people chill on Sunday, so including me. So I was like, Sunday at 2 p.m. And I'm trying. Other people do go live on Sunday, but they tend to do it earlier. So I chose this time so that hopefully people in the UK and in Europe would still be awake. It's hard to find a perfect time. The 4K sales at Best Buy and Amazon for Black Friday. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning. We talked about, I don't remember if that was when my audio was in or not. 4K sales, they had some crazy stuff. I think a lot of it sold out now. Howard the Duck was $5.99. Top Gun was $7.99. I think you can get that at Amazon. They price matched a lot of that stuff. The Super Mario Brothers movie, $9.99. Let's see. PlayStation. Anybody PlayStation? I've been shopping some PlayStation deals too. There's some really good prices right now. 2 p.m. Well, like today, 2 p.m. Central. The time that we went live today. That's when I generally go live. Clockwork Orange 4K for $5.99. Recommended too. Gen X are the last analog generation ever. That's absolutely true. And I think that goes back to what I was saying about being that last generation that grew up with all these different movies, and just not just movies, but my era was like everything from the past happening right now. And because there was no streaming or the internet wasn't really a thing, that was how you found stuff. And so now I think about kids who are like, like my daughter, teenager, she has access to everything ever created at any time right now. And like, well, no wonder people can't find anything anymore. How do you decide? Thankfully, I say thankfully because they built this connection with movie history for me. But I have that history that I can touch it. I'm like, well, I know that. I'm familiar with that because I was exposed to that. It came on television or it came on whatever. They would re-release movies into the theater. They still do for like Ghostbusters or whatever, but they would re-release classic movies, not even classics, the repertory screenings, right? That's what I'm talking about. Jarver guys points out that being the oldest section of Gen Z, we grew up around a little bit of everything: CDs, tapes, digital, DVD, Blu-ray, etc. That's good to hear. And then Film Watcher 96 said, I know I was born in 1996, but I love a lot of older movies and shows. I don't know why. It just feels good. See, this makes me happy. And when I want to say, like, when I talk about me and my experience, one of the reasons that I try to keep it limited to me is because I can't speak for your experience. I do know that growing up in like that analog generation, being so, we look at like Dazed and Confused, right? Or the movies of Wes Anderson. That's what it turned us into. So I can guess to what I see. And again, having a Gen Z daughter, like I can see what the world is like, but I can only really speak for me. And I know what made me. So that's where it all comes from. It's like, there's so many classic, and keeping in mind too, like in the 80s, we were getting an echo of the 50s and then in the 60s, right? So like I grew up in that era when even like Nickelodeon, the bumpers would be doo-wop. Like now Nickelodeon, whatever. Like, but Nickelodeon in the 80s, there was a bumper and it was like, Nickelodeon. Yeah. It was doo-wop. It was like acapella doo-wop. And like, that's totally a 50s thing that they're giving these 80s kids. And then there's like surf guitar and all this stuff. So it's just coming at us all the time. It's like this pastiche of nostalgia, probably because the baby boomers were making that stuff and it filtered through. And then in the 90s, we had the revival of the 70s, I don't know that anything is like now. I feel like anything goes. It's not like a 30-year cycle. It's just whatever, like dress in 90s clothes, dress in 70s clothes, whatever. Eric said that AFC is having a revival showing for 1 week of Love Actually. And he saw a poster for a revival of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Those are, I don't know how I feel about Love Actually, but I do love Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Norway. Yeah, I can see that. Paltrax says that they're from the 90s, but Norway was late on a lot of stuff. I bet. Like I can see that. But Norway's got that cool culture where it's like that I don't know. Like there's something about Norway. Like I really want to go there and just experience like the history of it's like there's this I don't even know how to describe it. Different places have a different feel, like the way the culture feels. And I feel like Norway has such a distinct and maybe it's the seafaring background and like the isolation of like the hard winters and stuff like that. I dig it. I really do dig it. And the stuff that like the culture that came out of that is really cool. Jay Donnelly with analog, you can really see things moving backwards. What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that? I don't understand. Like I don't want to assume what you mean is what I'm saying. Like you see older things getting more popular, or you see like we're going backwards. I don't know. Love Actually, the only so part of me now wants to reject how there's a part of me that's like Love Actually is really saccharine and sweet to the point of just trying to sell stuff, just selling good feelings. And I don't know that I really feel that way because I haven't seen it in a long time. And even if it is, well, good. There's a lot of other dark stuff around, right? Like let's have some goodness. Let's have some wholesome stuff, right? But I don't know. I haven't watched it in years. Oh, Jay Donnelly was actually talking about the rewinding of the thing, how it's smoother. Okay. Eric's to see a double feature of Thanksgiving and Love Actually. Yeah. All right, let's wind it down. Let's do one more topic, guys. Let's do one more talking point, and then we'll close it out. We're up on our 90 minutes, but there was like 3 minutes on a silent episode, a silent start that didn't go anywhere. So let's do like 3 minutes. What are we talking about? First good topic gets it. Let's do it. Make it good. By the way, I hope everyone has a great holiday. If you're in the U.S. and you're taking, if you're gonna be traveling, be safe. Be be kind. Be patient. Everybody's gonna be stressed out on over the next few days. I will see Eli Roth's Thanksgiving at home. It takes a lot to get me to the theater these days because my theatrical experience is in the toilet. It is a miserable experience to go to the theater now. AMC bought all our movie theaters, and when they went down the drain so fast. Dim projection bulbs, audience that talks through the whole thing. Um, Uninvested employees, which I don't blame them. They're making probably $10 an hour, but it's just like when there's a problem, you can't find anybody. It's just terrible. Umbrella starting its streaming service Brawley this week. That's right. That's right. And that's cool. To me. Anything that gets people to watch more movies, that's good. Be sure to give them the bird of happiness. Yeah, planes, trains, and automobiles. That's a good way to. So I did a commentary right here on the Serial at Midnight for planes, trains, and automobiles. You can listen to it right now. It's there for free. Enjoy it. There's like 8 to 10 commentaries here on my channel for free, movie commentaries that I recorded just for fun, just as like a gift. There's more on Patreon, but there's the one with Eric Wilkinson for Die Hard. Christmas time's coming. Watch the one with Eric Wilkinson for Die Hard. By the way, I can announce it now. I did announce it on social media, but I recorded an audio commentary. One of the audio commentaries I was talking about recording the last time I was here 2 weeks ago. Joysticks. The re-release of Joysticks is coming from MVD Entertainment. So Eric Wilkinson, the maestro of MVD, the Rewind collection, and Jesse Nelson from Diabolic DVD and me did a commentary for Joysticks, which if you haven't seen it, it's Porky's in an arcade. And I think that's hitting in February, but it's got an exclusive new commentary with yours truly on it. And man, was it fun. And check that out. So I'll tell you where I got there, because in that I did a video here where we talked about it, and I was because we filmed the video right after we finished, and Eric Wilkinson was like, I was like, how many commentaries have you done? He's like, well, I did the one with you for Die Hard, and I remember like not a lot of people watched our commentary with Die Hard for Die Hard. It's really fun. So Die Hard is here on the channel. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is here on the channel. A bunch of stuff. Home Alone. You can watch my commentary for Home Alone here. So if you want more Serial at Midnight, dig into the archive. Remember, that's why you subscribe. Dig into the um, library. Like YouTube continues to just serve people what it thinks. It's just like it serves them based on an algorithm. Dig into the library. I worked really hard on a lot of this stuff, and I think a lot of it's like perennial, really good stuff. Levi, I would love to have you. There is a dollar level. There is. So whatever you can do. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. We'll do one of these it's probably 2 weeks from now, probably early December. We'll do one. And keep your eyes peeled this week for Frank Tarzi round 3. Kino Lorber talk coming up later in the month. I try to do those at the very end of the month. The Kino Lorber new release spotlights. And listen, thank you guys. I appreciate you. Take care. Be safe. Be good. Have a happy Black Friday. Happy Thanksgiving. And I will talk to you later.